Let's talk about love and marriage the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The No Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. No Fruit Podcast will help your spirit transform.
Hey, how are y'all doing today?
Hello, everyone.
Y'all know we've deemed August a very special month. Y'all see that everything has been special. Did I say that correctly?
Not quite. It was a special way to say special.
Yeah. So one of the things that as we end this month, we just want to say how special this month has been. We have seen tremendous growth in this month. We've been praying for it. We've been seeking it. We've been extending ourselves, whatever it might have been. So we have been really, really blessed this month. And it's all because of you, our listeners.
Because of me? Oh, the listeners.
Oh, the listeners, yeah. But that does not exclude you, Kafa, because you have been working very diligently to make this month special. Did I say it right again? I don't know what's on my teeth and my tongue. This board is just retarded. I guess I need to eat.
Okay, we can make that happen. You want to stop now and go get something to eat?
No. But I am hungry though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not myself when I don't eat. But what's interesting about this month is how, and like I said, it's special. Where we're thinking about what the possibilities are. We have actually have a surprise for y'all coming in September, late September. The show will change slightly. It's still going to be us on here, but it's going to change slightly. And even with that, we have seen changes within ourselves, the way we approach this thing called podcasting, and just the way we approach life. Our network is changing. Our ideas are changing. We're actually stretching. So August has really been a very, very productive month for us. But it's leading up to, which is where I think we're in such a good spirit, because it's leading up to our actual special day.
Our special day.
So for those of you who don't know, who weren't there 24 years ago, we were actually preparing to be married on September the 2nd. So this year is actually on Labor Day itself. What?
Nothing.
Oh, so we're gearing up. So we're in a let's go get it. Let's go and take over the world, just like we were 24 years ago. Like, yo, we get ready to get married, y'all. And then we got married.
Mm-hmm.
The energy is high.
Yes.
Now catch us at December, energy might be low. You'll be like, it's just 24.
What happened?
It's only 24 years. So
No, but the vibe that we gave off, I guess, 24 years ago was contagious, I guess. As we've talked about before, it seems like a lot of people that we were connected with and connected to also decided to take that marital plunge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we kind of started the trend.
So my one cousin says that I stole her date or something like that, because she was going to get married at that same time, but she hadn't announced it, so I had already announced it, so she had to move hers back a few months, or I think until the spring or the next year or whatever. So yeah, and then after that, another cousin of mine got married, and then it's just like boom, boom, boom. I think some friends of ours got married, boom, boom, boom.
My brother got married a year later.
Oh yeah, a year later, and basically the same date.
Yeah, pretty. His was the first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, boom, boom, boom. I guess the thing they say about weddings, it pulls on your heartstrings and makes you.
Yeah, it's like we got married. Like you said, not just that people get married, but people got pregnant. Like, it was just like, I don't know what happened. Like, what? Because everybody was in a joyous mode.
Yes.
And it was the year 2000. So everybody was already on edge because that whole Y2K scare and the world was going to break down and we were all going to, be dust particles, So yes, I think just in the spirit of partying, and because that's all our reception was a one big party. Mm-hmm. And
there's certain songs that play now, and that's all the vision that I get in my head is like certain people dancing around and whatever. So
I mean, and that's all I think you really would want the reception to be, is to be one big party. But the reality is, in 24 years, and Kav, you and I have been talking about, especially for this month of August, as things have been changing and evolving, how much we've changed as individuals.
Yes.
And then how much we've changed as a couple, and so a lot of my immaturity, I just have to put it out there.
Yeah.
A lot of immaturity, a lot of things I didn't know or understand. Of course, you should see growth, but there's a lot of people that are our age still hasn't changed. We haven't seen, and I think some of that is being able to sit back and say you're wrong, being able to sit back and say, I have to grow up. I have to acknowledge my faults and deal with that. And and you and I talk about it a lot, about looking in the mirror. We look in the mirror. I mean, I know I don't necessarily like what I see in the mirror, so I'm actively working on changing that.
Right.
And sometimes you got to deal with that one way or another.
And that's a lot what we do here on this podcast, the No Fruit Podcast, is we look at ways to be fruitful. That's what the irony of the name of the No Fruit Podcast, because a lot of times we find ourselves in a, situation where we're not fruitful.
Right.
We're not producing anything. We're not happy. We're not working on it. So the only way you're going to get fruit is if you work on it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So as Maurice is saying, like, we have to work on ourselves, and it's hard. It's hard work, especially as an adult, to look in the mirror. And as soon as you said looking in the mirror, I thought of Michael Jackson.
So
today's his birthday.
So the reality is, I don't understand why. We're talking about, hey, we're going to talk about this special day and all that type of stuff. She's like, Michael Jackson birthday. What are you talking about? Like, don't nobody care about Michael Jackson? Okay, you do. You get what it be. Like,
Yes.
that's one of your favorite artists. And I get that.
Yeah, as a child, I was a fan, huge fan.
But that song, though, Man in the Mirror.
Yes.
A lot of us, it is special. But a lot of us don't like to do that.
Right.
And even when we do look in the mirror and we
Is
see
it a true
something,
reflection?
well, if it is not, that's because we put up what? Mm-hmm. Whatever facade, whatever, what other type of clothing, mask, whatever it is. And that's something that I talk about all the time on That Will Never Work podcast, is being your authentic, genuine self. Because if you're not authentic, if you're not genuine, people can read through that. Or eventually you will be exposed. So I think that's why, it's very interesting that when I talk about us being married for 24 years to anybody on that other podcast, they're like, Maurice, kudos, congratulations, or whatever
Right,
else. And
right.
I'm like, listen, y'all, I had to work,
Right.
because unfortunately, you're not authentic until you kind of get out of, quote unquote, your parents' house. You get what I mean? You don't really know who you are. You're working, you're doing this, that, and the other. So do you really know who you are as you're moving through life?
Right. And even with that, with work, with all these other things, you are still, it's just a part of you.
Right.
It's not all of you. So again, looking in the mirror, it's just a part of you. You can't see all of you. You can't see the inside. If you're looking at it face forward, then you're just seeing the forward side of yourself. You're not
Right.
seeing the side or the back side or anything like that. So again, looking in the mirror, you see some things, but again, I think it's not a true representation of who you are. Yeah. So we all have to grow. We all have to dig deep. And these are all great puns, and I'm using them purposefully because it's the No Fruit podcast. Why not?
Right.
But yeah, we have to dig deep. And like you said, that's something that we have been trying to do this year is purposefully dig deep so that we can be fruitful for the next 24, 25 years. Because we're not getting any younger, and moving through this thing called life gets a little more difficult. Getting up this morning was like, ooh, my knees hurt. Ooh,
Yeah, right.
like, why do my calf muscles hurt? Like, I
Right.
didn't really do anything, but somewhere, I guess this week I used those muscles for something, and it's showing its ugly little head today.
Right.
The forecast doesn't say it's going to rain,
Oh, jeez.
but my body is aching a little bit.
But you're telling the weather, though.
No, I think it's just
Probably.
because of, the change of the weather getting,
Yeah.
a little cooler. It's, like I always say, it's that back to school weather where it's cool in the morning and it gets warm in the afternoon. So my body feels the coolness in the morning.
Right.
So those aches and pains are starting to come about in the early wee hours of the morning when I first get up. So, but yeah, this is a special time for us. And I'm so glad that this audience of ours is riding along with us in this journey. But back to our special day.
So going back to the special day,
Yes.
when we're talking about being authentic and genuine, I'm gonna refer back to we I had a blast. I had friends around. We laughed and joked or whatever else. And so, as I had stated, some people got married after us. And I'm not going to actually put their names out, but if y'all know who they are, you're more than welcome to put them out on the in the comments or just say LOL, right? But there was a wedding not too long after ours where it was bananas for me.
Okay.
I was stressed out. And people were passing out at the altar. And, they were drunk.
It was hot.
It was hot. Yeah, it was hot in there, all right. Y'all was feeling the steam from me because I was upset.
They were drunk at the wedding.
Yeah. Or they was feeling the after effects.
Okay.
And that, so that kind of disrupted my high from our time
Oh, okay.
a little bit because it's like, all right, now I'm back to life. Because sometimes, and I'm saying this because sometimes we get caught up in our own little box. We get caught up in our situation. And then now you're trying to get back into the real world, right? One way, shape, or form. You're on a high, and then you get back, and then you realize, like, this is what life has really been like. This is what I got to deal with, and I say that because we get disappointed, we get frustrated, and now, what in the world do you do? Because you feel so that all these other people need your help and assistance. And now you're breaking your own thing. You're breaking your own tradition or whatever the situation might be. And so now you're stuck. Now you're depressed. Now you're frustrated. And that's how I was. Because we had a good time. We had, we partied, and then, luckily, for us, we like, right after we got married, that Christmas, we was like, hey, y'all, look, we're gonna have a baby, so, again, in our, I guess, marital bliss, right, we started having, things going on that say, hey, we just bought a house, So we were in, we just got a new car. So if you think about everything that we had going on that year, right? We were blessed. We were blessed. And then now to integrate ourselves into everyone else's world, I know really threw me off. And like you said, at those moments, it was more than one, but there was a few that was like a little more heated than others. That now as you're trying to integrate back into the world and realize like, you know what, this is this, but here's what else is going on, the rest of the family, all that type of stuff. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough for me. So ever since then, personally, it's been like, all right, how do we catch up? How do we help? How do we support? Because we're not in a crazy space. You and I weren't in a crazy space.
Right. We were still in newlywed,
Right.
wedded bliss.
Right.
For that year. And as Marie said, we wanted to go at, a little more beyond, but the reality of, hey, our family's expanding. And, so that brought about some decisions of being made and things like that. It wasn't huge, but just like, hey, our computer room will now have to become a nursery,
Right.
So, we'll have to move some things around and whatnot. So, and it wasn't bad. We had a 3-bedroom house and was fine doing it, but, it took a joy in taking down all of the things that were office related and then
Right.
putting up things that were then nursery and baby related. So,
Right.
that became a joy or whatever at that particular time. But it's just different than wedded bliss because now you're in baby bliss.
But I mean, again, that brought us joy. The expectations, the growth, the hey, you know what, we're for how old we were like, hey, we're making pretty okay money, and then but some of those type of things gets disrupted.
Right.
And
And like you're stating, like those are things that for where we were in life, it was working out. But for some people, and some of our listeners, it may not be. You can get married and then take on those financial obligations of a house, a car note, car insurance, and then to add on a baby and still continue to work full time. So now you have daycare and baby expenses. It can be quite heavy load.
And then even when you have that, right, other people are expecting for your assistance one way or another. Again, I mean, I'm in people's weddings and this, that, and the other, and you start to realize, like, wait a minute, my money ain't as long as I think. Right? You get what I mean? People are asking for a couple of dollars here and there, hey, being like, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's go do, whatever. And then you're like, wait a second. Diapers are, can I, do I give $30 for a box of diapers, or am I going to take this $30 and have lunch? So because now life has changed.
Right.
And sometimes people don't understand that, don't look at that, especially when you're new into it, so I think there's a lot of things that at that particular time and space where you have to look at understanding finances, when you have to take a look and understand friendships, responsibilities, and you realize how immature you are in those spaces. Now you get to where we are 24 years later.
Right.
And you'd be like, well, you know what? I can do without with this,
Exactly.
for a moment. And in reality, it's not going to change my life, that type of thing. But also, you get to a point, too, to say to people, no, I can't help you. No, I can't be there. I don't want to be there. Like, you get what I mean?
Exactly.
Because everything, just because it is important to you does not mean it's important to me. And, those type of things. And sometimes people be ringing the alarm for some of the, and of course, when you're young, you don't always know it. Someone says, "Hey, I need help." Well, you don't need help. You don't need me to walk you down the aisle. You don't need me to go, like, you get what I mean? Like, you don't need those type of situations. Sometimes we get caught up in, always needing a crutch or a handicap or whatever it is.
I think a lot of it is the world's perception that we receive, through television, through social media. I mean, well, back then there was no social media, but
right.
24 years ago.
Right.
But, just the things that we see. So we build up in our minds that a wedding has to look a certain way.
Right.
You have an idea of what your wedding photos should look like. Like you should have all these people standing by your side from movies and all of those things. So again, look at what was out, what came out around that time when we were planning our wedding, we were dating. What did we want this to look like?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and what images that we have and what images that our friends and our family see for a wedding, and then the fact that I don't remember who had a wedding before us. I don't remember going to somebody's wedding before ours. So again, that idea of what that should look like and the reality was probably two different things. But what I'm getting at is that, it's not so much of what we want or whatever, but I think a little bit of what we've seen others through television, through movies, through magazines, you know what I mean? So, and then we try to match that. So, whether, again, it's a large bridal party, whether it's a stretch limo, like whatever those things are, the huge party, the glitz and the glam. I don't know, like, again, do people really understand? And nowadays I think they do because social media kind of puts it out there.
But also, let's be totally honest too. There were, even till today, and this is where I'm talking about being, a lot of people look at us as being stable, right? Being the resource. And so even at that young age, we almost felt responsible to some degree because it hasn't changed. We felt responsible for everybody else's happiness to some degree. So to your point, you're like, hey, I don't remember a wedding. So we want to make sure everybody come to a party because that's what the family's used to. And we like this and, whatever. So without us looking in the mirror, like, do we really want that for ourselves? You get what I mean? We didn't do that then. We kind of struggle with it today, where we're a little better at saying no, right? And understand like, hey, all right, so how do we look in the mirror and make sure that we are good? Because we didn't know at that time how much it stressed us out.
Yeah, I think we were too young at that time to even begin to recognize or whatever. Again, I think all we were going off of was that persona. Like, again, just what you wanted that to look like. So I think it was more so
because let's be honest, what did I want?
You wanted a destination wedding.
Right. Which would have cut out probably 95% of the people at that particular time.
But it could have also cost more.
It could have, but without actualizing what I wanted, in that time. And I'm not saying that you didn't want that, or even what we had, you wanted 100%, in that space. We were so concerned about everybody else, that we took away from ourselves our own experience to some degree because we got caught up. You get what I mean? So, and I think a lot, and this is what I mean by looking in the mirror. Sometimes we get caught up in everything else and everybody else that we don't even start off our journey on the right foot. Perceived right foot. It doesn't mean that it's not the right foot, because it's what God ordained and how He saw it. Everything works for His good. You get what I mean? Like, but that's what I mean by it is the perceived right foot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want us to lose track of that. That all the things work. Right.
Yeah, I mean, all things worked out. I mean, I think for our special day, the actual special day, that yes, there were other influences because we didn't pay for everything ourselves. We were very young, getting married. So therefore, our parents helped to pay for things. And then those things that they paid for, they picked, I guess. I don't remember having much input in limousine, like, go with this company or the photographer. Did you get to choose?
No.
Because I think we had met with a different photographer.
Right. I mean, again, some of that was, hey, this is going to be your wedding gift.
Right.
Right. And like you said, some of that we didn't choose.
Mm-hmm. Because we were young, we had a lot of influences. Did I know the bakery? No, but someone had said something to you about the bakery. You went and did I think we did a test. Test.
We did.
But, again, it was one that I guess they used, and you've had it before. So, we went and did what we.
And let's also understand the timing that we had too. We didn't have. We weren't in a space where we're like, yo, we have 3 years to plan. Mm-hmm. We didn't do that. It almost felt like we only had 3 minutes, but think about what we accomplished in those 3 minutes, though. It was the jump start of everyone else. It was the trend, to some degree, and even those that minus one or two that have not seen its way all the way through, because we have a few family members that have started and unfortunately, either are divorced or on their way to being divorced, or even some friends that's same situation. But there was a lot of people. We started a whole space of being happy and joyful, and we're all hanging out as couples, and and everybody's hanging out as young families, and all so we had a lot of fun.
Right.
We had a lot of fun, and it's just life. But the difference is, again, that looking in the mirror thing. Over the years, you and I have been able to look in the mirror at certain spaces in our lives to say, you know what, we're not happy. We're not enjoying the way life or what we expected life to be. So how do we change this? And made some real difficult, decisions, that we still deal with today. But in that decision, we're like, you know what? We didn't like that decision, but it was the best thing for us. Mm-hmm. We made that decision, and it didn't necessarily affect us as much as it affected someone else. Maybe like our kids or something like that.
Right.
So, our children, adult children, because we're still making decisions and stuff based off of them today. So, but in all reality, when we started this journey leading up to our special day 24 years ago, the month of August, I did not anticipate, expect everything that we've come up against. So it's very befitting using that whole Michael Jackson man in the mirror thing, because what I saw in the mirror then is nowhere near what I saw or what I see today.
Right.
It's a totally different person.
And I think outside of just looking in the mirror, my advice to all of our listeners is to look at your partner, to look at the people you're in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. And the same way that you have to look deep within yourself, you have to look deep within those individuals, especially your partner. Because as Marie said, we do change. Mm-hmm. I'm not the same person that I was 24, 25, 26, years ago when we first met and started dating, to when we walked down the aisle together. in no way, shape, or form. And Maurice has changed as well. So you do have to not only look at yourself and analyze yourself and figure out where you are and what makes you happy, but also looking at your partner, looking at your spouse, looking at anyone you're in a relationship with, whether it's your kids, because they grow and they change, whether it's in the workplace and it's your supervisor, your coworkers, because whether you've been in the job for 2 weeks or 20 years, people change.
Right.
And you can't say, well, you always did it that way. Okay, well, maybe they're not going to do it that way this time. And there's always space and area and room for growth. So the key to that is communication. One of the things I struggle with at times. But
again, I'm the one with all the words.
I'm a good listener. And listening is a very great part of communicating because you have to be able to listen in order to communicate well. So
I'm just a little more an individual who will speak his mind. That's all. I think Kafa has her moments where she kind of wants to, but she doesn't.
No, I think there are times when I do. And then there's times where I say a little bit and then you say a little bit more.
Again, the words. I have a lot of words in my. That's why I have 3 podcasts to get all the words out my head.
And how many books? Because you have that many words.
Yeah.
So check out Amazon, everyone, for Maurice's books. Just put in Maurice D. Chisholm into Amazon and see how many words he has out there.
Right.
They're great words.
Yeah, I guess so. So here's some words I'm going to use right now. Kafa, I don't like you sometimes. I use those words a lot.
No, not that often.
I do.
But you don't like me in your head. You don't use those words.
And I only say that because sometimes she'll say something. I'm like, really? I really don't like you sometimes. Because sometimes she just say things that's just kind of true. And, again, looking in the mirror, sometimes you want to hear the truth.
Right.
No, but I mean, we both, as Kafa stated, we both have grown.
Oh, of course.
And a lot of times in growing pains and whatever it is, sometimes you kind of want to be by yourself. And that's how I look at some of the people that has kind of separated because they didn't know how to deal with their growing pains and did not express it, did not know how to talk it through to deal with it.
But some people are like that, and I'm going to go back to this No Fruit podcast thing.
Right.
When it goes to planting and growing things, like some plants go dormant. Some of them go to sleep. You know what I mean? And they have that period of time for that reflection. They're not going to grow. They're not going to flower. They're not going to bloom. We have cacti in part of our home, and they go to sleep. So you don't have to do a whole lot to them. They don't need a whole lot of attention. You don't have to talk to them. You don't have to water them a whole lot. All that because that's their sleep time. Our grass in our front lawn goes to sleep every winter. You know what I mean? So it's that grass that turns brown. So people are like, ooh, but honey, when the spring comes, we got the best lawn looking.
Right.
I think. But because it goes to sleep, during the winter months. So it's okay, I think, at times to not be as vocal and not be as outgoing and forthright with certain things because you need to do that for your own self-worth, for your own self-discipline, for just taking care of yourself. Your self-care is the word I was looking for. So sometimes you do have to kind of just stop everything else and just pay attention to you. And then you can come back and be a better you.
Well, how do you do that if you don't know what that really looks like? I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right. And you may not know what it looks like. But again, they tell people this all the time. Like if you're in a situation and you are boiling, you know what I mean? You need to step away, self-reflection, count to, from 10 to 0 or whatever it is, and then go back. So you can't always just provide
I think, and I
answer.
hear you, but I think there's a lot of people that will just, when they come against conflict, will just pick up, because you said go to sleep or be dormant or whatever else, but they also run away. And in them running away, the situation is never solved.
Right.
It's not resolved. It's not solved. Has not come to a conclusion. And everything does not always have to have a total conclusion, but at least be on the process too. Because this whole thing of life, nothing's ever really concluded. It's just because it's a journey, right?
Yes.
So what are you doing along your journey? I think that's what things come down to. So, I agree with you that some things has to go to sleep and whatever it is. Some things have run its course, right? But I think some of that too is just not having that moment of clarity and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I am wrong in this situation. Because a lot of times we just want to be right. And that the other person is wrong. And once we determine that we're wrong, we don't know how to deal with it. And then we shut down, we run away, and you know what? Screw you, I'm out. Because you found a weakness of mine. I'm no longer bulletproof, whatever the situation might be. And that's something that you and I, we've dealt with on more than one occasion, but been able to stick it through.
Right. Exactly.
So I understand y'all that, that we were talking about the special day, but we're talking about our growth. Hopefully you're gathering where we're going with this has been the growth. Yeah, we talked about our special day and Michael Jackson's special day. Right. Y'all should see this Cheshire. How do you say that stupid cat? But that's the smile that she has on her face right now, talking about some Michael Jackson. But his song, Man in the Mirror, we didn't, sometimes you don't understand how impactful and powerful that song really is. When you start to look at this game called life that I talk to the kids about all the time. All my words.
All your words.
So
just for all those who are listening, thank you for riding with us and making every day special. And you can continue to make every day special by listening to the podcast, this episode or previous ones, whenever you like. Yes, you can. And a special shout out to all those who are still riding this thing with us called marriage. As Marie said, and I have said that a lot of people got married around the same time of 2000, 2001. I think some 2002. So congratulations to you all for continuing this journey of marriage. To those who are newly married and thinking about it, congratulations and good luck to you all.
don't be afraid of it.
Yes, it is work.
And the work that you think that it is, multiply it by 2,000.
Just keep at it. Just keep at it. It's worth it all in the end. Yeah. So that's my thing. I think, there will be days where it doesn't seem as special or they're special for some other reason. But just continue at it. Don't give up. Don't give up. That's where we are. But yes, our special day was September the 2nd.
Was or is?
That special day was September 2nd. Every September
okay.
2nd is now a new special day.
Okay, yeah. September 2nd, 2000.
Yes.
In the 99 or the 2000s. I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry, y'all. We will talk to y'all a little later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.